Perfect. All right. We will go ahead and get started. Anyone else who joins us, they'll be able to just come in automatically. I want to first have some introductions. So for myself, if I've not met you, I look forward to meeting you. I'm Lisa Bajornis, and on behalf of the Community Foundation of Louisville, I am the program director for the Vogt Awards Accelerator Program. This is a role that I have been so very fortunate to hold for a long number of years. And I just continue to enjoy getting to work with early stage founders and entrepreneurs and really dive deep into those startups that are the recipients of the Vogt Award. And in so doing, and as we are in our application cycle right now, this gives us an opportunity to just share information in advance of you potentially completing your application. So a little bit about my background. I have been a founder and principal of my own business. I am currently with Kentucky Science and Technology Corporation, and I work with what we call entrepreneurial support organizations around the state who support, they coach, they advise, as I do, with founders and entrepreneurs across the state. So this is about one of many programs in the Louisville region, as well as those around the state that serve startups. And the important thing about the work that you're doing in contemplating starting a business or in the middle of building your business is that we want you all to be successful. We want to wrap you up with as many resources as we possibly can toward that success. We want you to be able to learn from each other, to learn from other startup coaches, mentors, and take advantage of all that's available with the Vogt Awards and what it represents. And prior to this, I previously ran an entrepreneurial support organization here in Louisville. So I am very passionate about startups and entrepreneurship, if you haven't guessed. And so I'm very grateful to have this opportunity to work and to lead this particular program on behalf of our whole region. So that's a little bit about me, but I do have Mary Grissom here with us today. Mary is Senior Program Officer for the Community Foundation, and so she holds all the money that is represented by the Vogt Invention and Innovation Fund, and she really represents and engages in this program to a high degree as well. But Mary, if you want to go ahead and give us an introduction as well.
I'd love to. Thank you all for tuning in today and being interested in the Vogt Awards. It is brought to you by the Community Foundation of Louisville. And if you don't know, we work with people from every walk of life to catalyze both human and financial capital to make Louisville a place where everyone can thrive. And so we help people organize philanthropy, largely speaking. The Vogt Awards is a perfect example of that. 22 years ago, a man in our community, Henry Vogt Heiser Sr., before he passed away, wanted to create a fund that would forever fuel entrepreneurs and innovators in our community. And he was a leader of the Vogt Machine Company, which was a big employer in Louisville and a big entity here for a long time. And part of what he understood is that unless people are inventing and making new things and coming up with new ideas, we won't be building, and manufacturing, and we won't have employment in our community. And so he established the Vogt Invention and Innovation Fund at the Community Foundation with the intent that it forever provides support for people just like you who have a good idea and an early stage idea or company, and to help bring those to life, ideally to create economic benefit for the Louisville area, right? Because it is a cycle. And so we are very happy that the fund was created with a $5 million gift. It has supported over 22 years, 96 locally owned companies, giving away about $3.7 million. And the principal, the original gift, is still intact because the Community Foundation stewards and invests those funds so that it lasts forever. And so we're pumped that you are interested in the 2022 Vogt Awards. And I think, the piece for me that is so joyful each year is that we get to know up and coming emerging entrepreneurs in our community. And for the Community Foundation, that's the lifeblood of a community, right? New ideas, new businesses, all the talent in our community being recognized and lifted up. So I'm thrilled to know you all. I'm going to root you on and wish you luck. Neither Lisa nor I actually make any of the decisions about who gets selected. So just want to make sure everybody can just relax their shoulders a little bit and get all your questions answered because we're not the decision makers. We are the facilitators. And we do have a group of amazing selection committee members who actually make the decisions. So as we go here today, really want to welcome you to ask your questions and talk about anything that might be on your mind, because ultimately we want you to apply. So thank you very much for letting me join in today. And Lisa, take it away.
Yes, thank you, Mary. And I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because I want all of you to know that your direct contact resources for anything to do with your application, you can either contact me directly or Mary directly, and we will do all that we can to help you in terms of ensuring you have a great, really solid application that you're very comfortable and confident in submitting by the deadline of May 31st. So May 31st is the first magic date. You can't receive the award if you don't apply by our deadline of May 31st, but we are here as your resources to help in any way. So here's what our game plan is for now until about the top of the hour at 1 o'clock. I'm going to go through just a little bit of an overview of what the Vogt Awards are, what an accelerator program is, what's involved with that, some key dates and things like that, just to give you an overview of the program. I will go through the application questions, and so I can shed some light on what it is that we're asking you to complete in a written format. And then I'll just very quickly show you and walk you through the Vogt Award website and the information and how that's laid out, because you will go back to the Vogt Award website for more information you'll want to read about, as well as clicking on the link there to actually begin your application. So I just want you to be very familiar with what the information is that you have at your disposal and where you can find it. And then at the end, I will be happy, as will Mary, to answer any of your questions that you have. So please either jot them down. You can drop them in the chat as well, if that's easier for you. And I'm happy to go back to the chat and just pull up any questions at the end. I want to make sure you get them answered, but please do know that you still have access to Mary and me even after today. So we are here for the duration to make sure all goes well. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay, and hopefully everybody there can just see our title slide. So this is the information session for all Vogt Award applicants. And so just a little bit about what are the Vogt Awards. We have mentioned this is an accelerator program. And as the name implies, this is, think of like a consecutive series of workshops. Think of this as a boot camp, if you will, over 10 weeks. And this is made available for up to 6 startups. Up to 6 will be selected from all of the applications that are received. So it is a competitive program, but it is also a very rigorous program. And as accelerator implies, it is positioned to help you accelerate and fast track your startup forward toward growth and advancement. So that's a bit about what an accelerator program is. Think of it as a boot camp really quickly growing your startup. Recipients, each of the up to 6 recipients of the Vogt Awards, each company will receive $25,000 in non-dilutive grant funding. This is a grant from the Community Foundation, from the fund that Mary mentioned. This is non-dilutive, which means that you do not need to pay this back. It is not a loan, it is a gift. We will help you to determine the best way to utilize those funds, should you be a recipient, and so that you get the best bang for your buck, so to speak. So it does come with $25,000, which makes the Vogt Awards quite unique in terms of what is being presented. We not only provide a program, we also provide funding, equally as important. I mentioned that the accelerator program is 10 weeks. And this is startup education, which is what happens, a lot of workshops, mentoring, coaching. That's what happens in our time together over the 10 weeks. That coaching comes from a number of experienced startup CEOs and advisors. And we also bring on successful entrepreneurs to act in the role as a mentor. Each of you as a recipient would be provided a mentor as well for your business. And we like to bring back our alumni, right? They're very passionate and had some great success through the Vogt Awards and even afterward, and they are eager to come back and to give back and to help. So we do call upon our Vogt Award alumni. Lots of startup introductions to the startup community here in Louisville, to other resources as well. And I love that the cohort that's chosen each year, they really begin to kind of develop a bond among each other, the founders and entrepreneurs working together on each of their businesses, learning together, working together. You know, there are challenges and rigors, and so you get to experience all of that together, and the cohort does come together nicely. And we complete the 10 weeks with an event for the whole Louisville regional startup community, and that's what we call Demo Day. And at Demo Day, which is in about mid-October, that is when you will actually present or pitch your startup to the Louisville community so that we can all share in your success, your growth, your advancement, the acceleration, and make, again, additional connections with you. So here's a little bit about who might be our ideal applicant, what we're looking for, right? We clearly say that we are looking for very innovative, scalable startups. Now, what does that mean? Innovative, meaning that your startup employs or utilizes some element of innovation, something new that you're trying to bring to the market, something new that maybe doesn't quite exist, that you really feel there's a large market opportunity for, there's a pain point among your potential customer that you want to solve for. And so there's something new you're developing that's innovative. Scalable simply means that there's the growth potential of your business, that you do have the ability to grow this business to serve and deliver your solution to the market to a much greater degree, right? So we're looking for startups that are both innovative as well as with the ability to grow or scale. This program is for-profit businesses. So nonprofits are not generally eligible for the Vogt Award. This is for-profit businesses because we want you to scale and grow. And we're also looking for an element of technology, either within your product, within your service, or you're using other technology to deliver your product, right? Some element of technology. We are not looking for applicants that have a very long regulatory path. What that means is if, for example, if you had to go through FDA approval, which is a regulatory agency, that typically has a very long path to get through. And so this program is not ideal for companies or startups that might have to go through that regulatory path. In terms of some parameters, we do ask that you have not received more than $500,000 at the time of your application in other funding. You can have received up to $500,000 in other funding, but not more than. Doesn't include your own personal investment, but any other funding from other sources, whether that's other grants, other non-dilutive funding, or other investment, for example, a maximum of $500,000. We'd also like to see some traction. Some traction, meaning that you have moved the product development forward past just the idea, and possibly that you have some customer revenue. You might have 1 or 2 customers, and they may have paid you to this point, or they may be participating in a pilot test or a beta test with you. So a little bit of traction would be ideal. And again, there we're looking for startups who don't have more than $250,000 in customer revenue. Okay, so not more than $250,000 in annual customer revenue. The reason we put these 2 boundaries here is so that we have startups participating in the program who are at about the same stage. That is very helpful, so that we are really honing in on similarly staged companies where they are in their growth and in their development, and that they can work easily also with each other and the coaches. We are looking at independent businesses, so not a subsidiary of another business or a spin out of a corporation. This is a single standalone independent business. And of course, we need you to be located within our 13 county Louisville region. So that includes 7 counties around Jefferson County in Kentucky, or 5 counties in Southern Indiana. Can be registered, located in either Southern Indiana or in Kentucky, right around the Louisville area. So this is a little bit of additional information just to spell out the 13 counties that I mentioned in both Indiana and Kentucky. And we do ask that you are registered with the Secretary of State, either in Kentucky or Indiana, wherever you're located. So one or the other, that you be registered with them. Again, that you're developing an innovation-led product or service. And again, these are the boundaries with customer revenue as well as funding, outside funding. So as you think about in advance, what might you need to have in order to apply? And these will be some of the questions, but I will go through those in detail. This is good information to know in advance, so you can know what to have kind of collected or put together as you get ready to apply. The application does look for and ask you for a 1-sentence summary or elevator pitch. So they do ask you for that, right? The application will ask you for a quick 1-sentence elevator pitch. An elevator pitch just means a single sentence summary of what is your business. Literally, if you were on an elevator with someone going from the 1st to the 5th floor and someone asked you, tell me about your startup, you could respond in a single sentence in the length of time it takes for you to go in an elevator from the 1st to the 5th floor, okay? We want you to be able to tell us about your team, the capabilities of your team, and your team can be just yourself. Your team can be you and some advisors. Your team can be you and another coworker, someone else with the startup, anyone else that you draw upon for expertise in your startup can be part of your team. And we want to know who you have access to and what your experience or capabilities are with your startup. We'll ask you for the business summary. We'll ask you about what is the market opportunity? Why is your solution, your product or your service, why is the market ripe for what you want to deliver to the market? Tell us about that, okay? You'll describe the problem that you're solving for, right? And then also, what is your solution, right? What's the problem your target customer is facing right now, and why your solution is going to be terrific once you market that. Tell us a little bit, at least initially, if you have some thoughts around your marketing and your sales strategy. How will you gain customers? That's what we're asking here. We will ask for some very high level financial projections. You only need to think about 2 to 3 years. What might your customer acquisition look like? You can tell us a bit about anticipated revenues and anticipated expenses. You don't have to provide anything further than projected revenues and expenses, very high level. And if you don't know at this point, it's very fair to say, we don't know at this point, okay? And then finally, we'll ask you to include in your application a very short 1 to 3 minute video. And this needs to be the founder or the entrepreneur, the owner of the business, just giving us a nice little 3-minute introduction to yourself and to what it is that is the problem in your market and your solution. And this is just a nice way for the selection committee to be able to just know who is behind the application that they're reading, as well as a little bit about you as a founder and how you describe your product you'd like to bring to market. So I'm very excited to share with you the introduction of Monique Quarterman. She is this year's Vogt Award Selection Committee Chair. Monique, I have known for several years. We're so excited that she is going to be this year's Selection Committee Chair. She has an incredibly deep bench of entrepreneurial understanding. She has worked in the for-profit sector, the nonprofit sector. She has worked within a startup herself. She has worked within the university environment, helping researchers and innovators get their products to market. She is deeply engaged in this space. She is currently the Deputy Executive Director for KY Innovation. And KY Innovation is the Office of Entrepreneurship within the Cabinet for Economic Development within state government. So she has just a wide range of experience, and we're very excited that she's agreed to be this year's Selection Committee Chair. So I've included some information here on our scoring rubric. So this is what the judges or the selection committee, one and the same, is going to be thinking about and scoring you all on your application. So I wanted to be very transparent and very clear as to what it is we've asked the selection committee to think about as they review your applications. So the first item is they want to understand who makes up the team. And as I said, that may be one founder, it might be a co-founder situation, 2 people. It could be some additional team members. It could also include maybe some advisors. They will look at all of the folks that you identify that are helping with this business. We certainly know that yourself and perhaps all or any others are not being paid right now. We understand that everybody's either working, in a volunteer capacity at the moment, or part-time or contract. All of that is okay. We just want to know who's engaged with this particular startup. And do you all have the experience and skills to execute on the vision that you have as the founder? And can you grow or scale the business? They want to understand a little bit about the market. What size is the market? Is it a large market you're going after? So you'll tell us about that. Does the solution actually solve a pain point for your customer, right? We do want to understand a bit about that pain point so that it's A startup, not necessarily, this is just a nice to have, but rather my target customer, who you'll tell us about, you'll describe them, actually has this pain, this particular problem. Here's how my solution will solve this problem. Here's why my customer is going to pay for my solution, because it's innovative, it solves a problem for them. Does your business have a protectable competitive advantage? The application does ask you about, tell us if you know about any other competitors in this space. And so you'll tell us about that. And can you protect your advantage? Can you keep anyone else from encroaching on or coming into your space or taking customers, things like that? Protectable competitive advantage. What's your secret sauce that makes you different and unique from any competitors? That's what's being asked there. We will want to know if you have validated the market. What do you know about the market? Tell us any research or data you have so that we know you're familiar with the market you're trying to enter into. And then the exit path is perhaps you have thought about potentially, is there a larger company in the space who might acquire you at some point? Is there a plan where you might want to go public, for example? You know, just what might be the end game of your business that you can tell us about. And then finally, they will score you on, does your business have the ability or opportunity for some sort of economic impact for our Louisville region? Can you anticipate that your company will hire additional employees in the future? That's a very positive economic impact. Is there an opportunity where you will have customers that are not from the Louisville region? That brings new money into our region. That's a positive economic impact. But if you can describe that for us, that will be very helpful. So again, this is the scoring rubric that we'll be using. In case you were wondering, and I'll come to this as well, these are some notable Vogt Awards alumni. You might recognize some of these companies, but as Mary mentioned, we've had 22 years of some great Vogt Award recipients, and these are some of the amazing companies, most of which are still very much in business and growing and scaling and continuing to do great things. You see and hear about them often in the news. And so we're very pleased that we had just even if a small part in their early success so that they could go on to do some great things. And again, they're adding to the economic impact of our region. So these are some terrific companies that we keep up with. These are some important dates to know. I mentioned previously that we asked you to apply by May 31st. That's a Tuesday by midnight, May 31st. And the application access is from votawards.com. And you can work on your application for as long as you like. You can go back to it and continue to work on it. Don't forget to hit the submit button at the very end when you're ready for us to be able to review it. So by May 31st. Selection day. Those companies that are selected as finalists in the selection process will go through selection day as a finalist in order to get us to up to 6 companies selected for the cohort. Tuesday, July 26th is selection day. So that gives you some idea of time frame from the time you submit May 31st. We have selection day on July 26th. And shortly thereafter will be the announcement of the companies selected in the cohort. Companies selected will participate in Vogt Awards, the program. Those are Thursday afternoons from August 11th until October 12th. So that is about 10 consecutive Thursday afternoons from noon until 5 p.m. So that is when we run the program. Okay. Note that the program this year, unlike the last 2 years, will be in person on those Thursdays. And we will be operating or holding our program days at local co-working spaces in the Louisville area. So it will be in person this year. And then finally, the culmination of the whole program is Demo Day, which is set for October 13th. So that gives you some of the important dates. Okay. Stop share. I am happy to answer any questions at this moment before I jump into what are the questions on the application. If anybody has a question that they'd like to ask, if not, I'll just keep going.
Oh, hey, Lisa, this is Dan.
Hi, Dan.
I have just a question in regards between May 31st, the application deadline, and July 26th. What's the interaction look like between the applicant and the vote committee? Is there interviews or contacts, or is there any other action on us or the committee?
There's nothing during that period. All of that is saved up during that time. Actually, we have both a round one as well as the full selection committee reviewing what has been submitted. So they're reviewing your written application. They're reviewing your 1 to 3 minute video, and they're scoring those to that point. Then on selection day is when we have the in-person opportunity for you to present your company, as well as the interviews that happen during that day. And then we will deliberate and we will have the decision made on that day.
So I guess is that follow-up question on selection day, have up to 6 companies already been decided, or could there possibly be more companies and selection day will be another like a filter process?
So we will have 10 finalists who will participate in selection day, and then up to 6 will be chosen for the cohort.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you, Lisa.
Yep, you bet. Okay, I will jump into the application itself.
Lisa, I have one quick question. This is
Sure.
Nikki. So for the in-person days, are both founders required to be in person?
They
on those?
are. Yes, those
Okay.
are in person on the Thursdays from August 11th until October 12th. Demo day in person is October 13th. Yeah.
Okay.
So
And
that's
there's
why we
not,
make that very clear in advance so that everybody can plan accordingly. Yeah,
okay, because there's no hybrid option at all this year. Is that correct?
that's correct.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Thank you.
So can I just double down on her question to make sure
Sure.
everybody heard it right? She asked about both co-founders being physically present.
No,
Is it-
she's asking if there is an opportunity for hybrid for in-person as well as virtual.
Right. But she is accurate. I am asking about if both co-founders
okay.
need to be.
So as far as who attends the actual Thursdays, we encourage you as the founder for sure. And
Mhm.
then if there are other team members or a co-founder, we encourage more to participate on those Thursdays. And depending on the topic of any given Thursday, you might then invite another team member or another person working with you. You know, let's say the topic is on sales, and you might say, I'd love to have my salesperson or someone I'm, working with regarding eventual sales to participate on that particular Thursday, and that we welcome that.
Okay. But both co-founders are required to participate in
Only
person.
one, only one
Only
is
one.
required.
Okay.
Yep,
Okay.
one per company.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yes, perfect, good. We welcome the other one, but only one is required. Yeah.
Right. Perfect.
Cool.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, let's jump into the application questions. Again, just a reminder that May 31st is the deadline date. Don't forget to hit the submit button at that point, and you will include your 1 to 3 minute elevator pitch. Your video, the 1 to 3 minute elevator pitch video, does not need to be professionally produced. Just do this on your iPhone or your computer camera. that will suffice, and you'll attach that to your application in the Gust software. So these are the application questions, and there's a description for every single one. So you'll see that there, just so you know exactly what's being asked for. We'll need just company basics, contact information, any of your social media channels, if you can let us know what those are. And here's your company summary, very short. Just give us the quick and dirty company summary. And then who are members of your management team? You know, who is within the company, who's on the team? Whether that's one person or more than one person, tell us about the team. We do ask that you tell us what is the problem you're trying to solve. And we'd love to hear that from the point of view of your customer. What does your customer have this problem or this pain point that you're trying to solve for? Tell us about that problem. Tell us about your target market. Tell us about that target customer. If you can define that in terms of any additional demographic or other characteristics, that is helpful. Who is your customer? Why are you targeting this particular customer? Okay. Your business model is really your strategy around how will you make money? How will you make money? Tell us about what that looks like, right? Tell us how you will have a competitive advantage in the market. Are you going to be the first one to the market? Is it your expertise? Is there something unique, innovative, or proprietary that you own? Is it a process or a patent? What makes you unique and different in the market, better than your competition? Then tell us about your solution. Tell us, meaning your product or your service, and what are the benefits that your customer is going to gain. If you can, tell us a bit about what your sales and marketing strategy is. How will you get customers? Tell us a little bit about who are the competitors in your market. If you know their strengths and weaknesses, that's good information. And then finally, very high level financials. If you are currently raising outside funding, let us know that. If you have already raised any funds in the past, tell us about that. And again, very high level financials, anticipated revenue, your expenses, that would be very helpful. And only a 1 to 3 year look at that. We do have some custom questions that are very specific to the Vogt Awards. If you can, we'd like to know, how do you plan to use the $25,000 if you should be a recipient? How would you think to best use that funding should you be a recipient? Give us the LinkedIn pages for each of your founders and team members. Tell us who's going to be responsible for sales and marketing on the team. How will you go after new leads for customers? And if you have any customers today, how many do you have? And if of them, who might be your largest customer? Tell us if you're looking at revenue. Does your customer purchase from you one time and they're good to go? Or is there recurring revenue, meaning more than once, something they have to repeat purchase from you? Tell us a little bit about that. If you know what your expenses are for your sales and marketing efforts, what has it cost you in terms of initiating sales and marketing? A good example of that is if you are paying for, let's say, Facebook ads, for example, to boost your post. That's an expense for sales and marketing. If you know, what does it take for you? What does it cost you to get one new customer? Sales, the marketing to get one new customer. Which person on the team is responsible for product development? What is the gross margin for your product? If you have any patents or you are anticipating applying for a patent, tell us about that. Tell us your revenue for each of the last 12 months of this year. And again, we want to just double check Have you received more than $250,000 in customer revenue this year? Have you received more than $500,000 in funding, outside funding? If you all want to turn on mute, I think we can hear somebody's background noise at the moment. Thank you. And then finally, just to double check that you are in Kentucky or Indiana. Just let us know where, which county, hopefully within the 13, which is a requirement, in Southern Indiana or in Kentucky. Okay. That is a little bit about the application questions, right? Some are very quick. Some you have the information at your disposal. Some might make you think a little bit. And I promise you, just the exercise of completing the application, it is going to be amazingly valuable to you. I promise you that. It's some good, solid information. If you haven't gone through these types of questions before, you will literally have a business plan at your disposal. And it's going to be about maybe 2-3 pages, but this is good, meaty, short, succinct information. We're not looking for anything at length. And you'll see that in the application, but it gets at the nitty gritty of your startup for our selection committee. Okay. Quick stopping point, any questions I can answer here about the application. I will tell you the good news is you're on this info session call today. I will send you, because I have all of your emails from your registration, I will send you these questions in advance so you can see them all. You can see them in the application, but if it helps to have it in a Word format, go ahead and complete it in the Word format, and then you can just copy and paste right into the application itself. That's a nice way to do some editing. Little pro tip. All right, no questions with regard to the application?
Hello, I'm
Hi,
Asha.
Asha.
I don't, because I jumped on a little late. I'm not sure if you have my email address.
If you want to drop it in the chat.
I just did. If you can send me those.
Perfect. I see it there.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Yep. Let's see. I will answer. Let's see. There's 2 questions. For clarification, does the innovative idea have to be the overall business or a specific service or product? It's really, the innovation is really around the product or service, right? You might have a company that has been in business, let's say, for a short time, and you've now got a new product or service, and there's something unique or innovative that's not in the marketplace that you want to deliver. That sounds great. Okay, it is the innovation around your product or service. Absolutely, you can stay in touch with Mary and me for any questions that you have after today's webinar. And just to come back around to the tech or tech-enabled product or service, there, and I know I agree with you, that does get a little tricky to understand what is meant there. We are looking for some component of technology, whether you build it or you use some other third-party software to deliver your product or service. That is good. Okay, if you use either your own home-built or any other third-party software or technology, whether it's for the product itself or the distribution or the way in which you market to your customers that's innovative, tell us about that in the application. So either tech or technology enabled. You might be in the finance business with your business, but you use this unique piece of software that solves a big problem in the marketplace that you know well. Perfect. Okay. All right, with our time remaining, I will just give you a quick walkthrough of the Vogt Awards website, just so you know where to find information as you go back. Okay, so as you type in vogtawards.com, and that is spelled VOGT, vogtawards.com, you will come to the Community Foundation's website, but you'll land right on the Vogt Awards webpage. So you'll see our lovely friend Tendai Chirasika right up top here. And this will tell you everything you need to know about the Vogt Awards. Pretty straightforward, very direct, simple language. It's a lot of what we've just talked about now. The Vogt Awards application period is open now. And I want you to know that we have made 2 changes this year. We have removed the requirement for a co-founder. If you are a solopreneur, a single founder of your business, that is perfectly fine. And we don't require you to be working in your startup full-time. We certainly know that you are probably at the stage of developing your business where you may still have an outside full-time job, and this is something you're working on, evenings and perhaps weekends. We understand that you're at that stage. And so we've relaxed those 2 requirements this year so that we have expanded the eligibility for you all. Okay. This is where we are today. So you're participating in the virtual information session, which is awesome. And if you wanted to go back to the requirements and selection criteria, just to review that very specifically, you certainly can. And you'll get this little quick message and you'll be directed to that information right here. Just scroll down and there's all the details. Here's what each recipient would receive if selected. Here's the mandatory criteria that we just talked about. Here's some of those that are strongly preferred that the selection committee will take into consideration. The fine print is the decision of the Vogt Awards Selection Committee is final. In terms of how you can use the funds, it's really up to you and eventually me, if selected, how we will develop together your budget and your commercialization plan, which means how will we use the $25,000 for you. And we will have that plan that we would work through together. The only thing the funds cannot be used for is that you cannot pay down any prior debt. So any prior debt, any prior monies that you owed others prior to selection, the funds cannot be used to pay for that. The funds are delivered in 2 payments, one at the start of the program in half, and then the balance is after demo day, which is mid-October. And then we do have some general requirements. We ask you to participate in the Thursday program meetings without fail. There will be outside work that you'll need to do to advance your startup. There's homework, if you want to call it that. We will have some other opportunities for public appearances that we will ask you to participate in, especially demo day, October 13th. And there will be some outside coaching sessions and time with your mentors as well. Okay, so that is the Vogt Award criteria, all spelled out for you. This is last year's cohort, and you can see that information here. And we've got lots of Vogt Awards alumni. If you're interested in what have been previous companies that have received the Vogt Awards, you can see them each by cohort year. You'll see the year right at the top, little descriptions about each company, so you can get an idea of past recipients from quite a few years back. And then as you scroll down, you'll see 4 big, we're still back on the homepage here, 4 big pictures, blocked pictures, but each one gives you some important information. This is where you can click to apply for the Vogt Award, and it will take you to the GUST system for the application, right? This is where you can go back to find the portfolio of all the Vogt Awards alumni that we just looked at. Here are some frequently asked questions. So here are the common questions that we've been asked over the last several years with some responses so that you can take a look at that. And of course, if you have any further questions, there's my contact information as well as Mary's. To get to the application, you'll just click right here. It will ask you, and you'll scroll down. This is what the GUST system looks like. I have already logged in, but the first thing that GUST will ask you to do is to provide your email address that you're using for your company, right? Make sure it's an email address that you respond to, whether that's a new one or your personal one, doesn't matter. It'll ask you to set up a password, and you will start right here with instructions, and it will just walk you through all of the application questions. You can finish it later, which means it will save it until you hit submit. Okay. And then finally, just a little bit about the legacy. Mary mentioned that originally in 1999, Henry Vogt Sr. Is the person, the individual who was a philanthropist, an inventor, a tinkerer, an entrepreneur himself. And so he provided the $5 million endowment that is now the Vogt Awards and Invention and Innovation Fund, which is what makes this particular accelerator program so very possible. We're indebted to Henry Heiser Sr. Some of you may know his son, Henry Heiser Jr., who has continued in the role of philanthropist, and we do want to recognize him. And just to close up before I answer any questions, this has been the nice history and the impact the Vogt Awards has had on our Louisville community. As Mary mentioned earlier, over the years, $3.7 million has been given non-dilutive funding to early stage companies. They have gone on to then raise themselves an additional $156 million from other investments. So that is a lot of growth right there. The Vogt Awards is proud to have provided 37% of the awards to women or founders of color. And to date, we've had 96 awards presented. So that's just a little bit about the legacy. And again, all of that is just right there on the Vogt Awards homepage. So if you just scroll down, I know you'll get to what you need.
Lisa, I wanted to call out Blake's good question in the chat about how many different industries are represented in the mentorship network. So you can just talk about how you might sometimes tailor to the cohort too.
Yes. So there are no industry restrictions in terms of who can apply from the startup side of things, other than if your particular solution does require that long regulatory path, then that would not be a good fit for the Vogt Awards. So there are no industries that are off the table. Industries are good. Diversity of industry is good. As far as selecting mentors, once we have the cohort set, then I do a one-on-one match with another entrepreneur or founder in a similar industry that's a couple stages ahead of where you are. And then I make that one-on-one match so that you have the opportunity to have that mentor relationship with somebody who understands your market or your industry with a different solution than yours, but one that can advise and counsel with a lot of good experience. We also have startup coaches. They have different backgrounds. They really understand the rigor and the nuts and bolts of building a startup in a very lean startup fashion. They have done it more than one time. They know all of the great and wonderful questions with me to ask you, to push you, to advance you and your startup, to broaden your thinking about your startup, about what you need to do to advance. And in this case, like we say, accelerate your startup move it faster than you possibly could on your own, because we're wrapping you up with all of these available resources. Okay. What else can I answer for you? So good question. If for some reason your startup is not selected in the final 6, are you still able to get mentoring and resources? And I am so thrilled to say, absolutely, yes, you can. Anyone who realizes and is advised that they have not been selected as one of our 6, I have a whole list of available resources that I convey to all of those folks. And very importantly is one of our partners, Amplify. Amplify is an entrepreneurial support organization. Kiana Baker is with Amplify. She's on our info session right now. And they absolutely provide coaching and advice and guidance and referrals or connections to other resources in our region or within the state. They're very experienced in doing that. And that is at no cost to you. So we will make sure those connections happen regardless. So we do have lots of different paths that everybody can take. Anything else I can answer?
Look at that on-time ending. Very impressive, everybody.
Yes. Kiana, yes, Kiana is letting you know that Amplify is here and always happy to help. They are a great partner, great asset in our startup community. All right, Mary, any closing thoughts or comments?
I'm just thrilled to see all you all here and appreciate the interest in every way. And I hope very much that you will apply for the Vogt Awards, and that as you become successful entrepreneurs and build your businesses and make money, when you are ready to give some of it away, please come and talk to the Community Foundation of Louisville. We would love to help you invest in Louisville and in our community. So I hope to leave you with that trail as well. Thank you. Thank you, Lisa.
All right, everyone, thank you so much. I so appreciate that you have invested this full hour in you and in your business. And so I thank you for that. I hope you found it very worthwhile. Again, you will find everything on the website. I will send you the application questions in advance so you can take a look at that. And don't forget to apply by May 31st by midnight. And don't leave it till the last minute. And of course, I am always here. My contact information is all over the website. So please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. I am here to help you. I want everyone to do their very best.